Observers first began asking whether a major voice had just emerged from an unexpected corner of England. Lucy Thomas, early years read like the origin story of an artist who seemed almost destined for a microphone. Born in Wigan, a quiet Lancashire town without deep music industry roots, Thomas began formal vocal training at 7 years old, an unusually early age for a singer with professional ambitions. Teachers noted that even her warm-ups carried a clarity and discipline far beyond typical childhood curiosity. Friends and family recall that she didn't simply sing well for her age. She demonstrated control, tone, and emotional weight typically associated with far older performers. Local choirs, school productions, and regional competitions soon became familiar ground as she steadily built a reputation as the young girl with a startlingly polished voice. Community media in her hometown occasionally highlighted her progress, but even then, no one expected how swiftly her talent would accelerate. What stood out was her commitment. While many children bounce between hobbies, Thomas approached vocal training with a seriousness uncommon in someone so young. She practiced daily, studied classical pieces, and showed interest in musical theater and pop crossover genres, styles requiring precise technique. By the time she reached early adolescence, she had already logged more hours of structured training than many adult beginners. What seemed like a local curiosity was, in hindsight, the quiet beginning of a much larger story. And as early supporters would soon discover, this was only the prelude to a sudden national spotlight that would dramatically expand her audience and change the trajectory of her life. National attention arrived almost overnight, as viewers wondered how a 14-year-old could command a stage with such confidence. When Lucy Thomas stepped onto the Voice Kids UK stage at just 14, she wasn't a familiar name outside her community. But her audition quickly shifted that reality. Delivered with precision and emotional depth, her performance drew reactions not only from judges, but from viewers who questioned how someone so young could produce such clarity and resonance. Though she eventually reached the semifinals rather than taking home the trophy, the result mattered far less than the impression she left. Talent scouts, vocal coaches, and industry observers circulated clips of her performance, noting a rare combination: youthfulness blended with distinctly mature vocal technique. Coverage in entertainment segments across the UK highlighted Thomas as one of the season's standout voices, generating headlines that speculated about her long-term potential. Commentators pointed to her controlled vibrato, steady projection, and the poise she maintained throughout live performances, qualities typically associated with experienced performers. Even without winning the competition, she had already secured an enthusiastic fanbase, and conversations began circulating about what might come next. The exposure opened doors that would soon lead to professional recording opportunities, shifting her trajectory from contestant to emerging artist. This moment didn't define her career, but it acted as the catalyst that introduced her to a rapidly expanding audience. And as producers would soon learn, she was prepared to turn that momentum into something far more substantial. Industry insiders noticed that the young singer moved from television spotlight to professional recording studio with unusual speed. After the Voice Kids UK concluded, Lucy Thomas quickly transitioned into the next phase of her development, a recording contract with Cavendish Records. This move surprised some observers, as not all talent show contestants secure long-term opportunities. Yet Thomas' voice seemed to carry a commercial certainty that labels rarely overlook. Within months, she was in the studio crafting what would become her debut album, Premiere, released in early 2019. Reporters covering the release noted that the album served as a formal introduction of Thomas' capabilities beyond the competition stage, showcasing classical crossover interpretations and musical theater influences. While the album primarily featured covers, critics acknowledged that her interpretations displayed control, emotional packing, and tonal consistency typically found in adult vocalists with years of experience. Music journalists highlighted her ability to sustain clarity across wide ranges, maintain pitch stability in dynamic passages, and deliver familiar songs with unexpectedly refined phrasing. These qualities positioned her as more than a young talent. They hinted at a developing vocal identity. For a newcomer in the industry, the launch was remarkably well received, and her early streaming numbers reflected a steadily growing audience. The release also marked the beginning of her long-term strategy: consistent output, careful repertoire selection, and a commitment to quality that would soon elevate her status across digital platforms. This momentum, paired with growing online visibility, laid the groundwork for what would soon become her largest wave of attention yet. Analysts began paying attention when one upload suddenly transformed her from rising singer to global viral presence. The turning point in Lucy Thomas' digital presence arrived with her now widely recognized cover of Hallelujah. At a time when algorithm-driven platforms could propel unknown artists into the spotlight overnight, Thomas' video fit perfectly into the ecosystem of shareable, emotionally resonant musical performances. Her rendition did not rely on gimmicks or dramatic staging. Instead, it showcased pure vocal delivery, clean production, and a maturity in interpretation that caught both public and media attention. View counts began climbing steadily before surging into the millions, earning coverage from entertainment blogs and social media commentators who cited the performance as one of the standout covers of the year. What made the video so impactful was its universality. Viewers from different demographics, classical fans, pop listeners, musical theater enthusiasts, found common appreciation in her tone and sincerity. Industry observers noted that Thomas' approach appealed both to younger viewers discovering classic songs for the first time and to older listeners seeking fresh but respectful interpretations. The viral success also demonstrated her strategic understanding of YouTube dynamics: consistent posting, careful song choices, and maintaining a polished yet accessible presentation. From a reporting perspective, the video's trajectory marked a clear shift in her career. She was no longer only a promising talent from a television show. She had become an emerging digital force, capable of reaching global audiences without traditional promotional machinery. This moment firmly established YouTube as a central pillar of her rise. Reporters noted that unlike many young viral singers, her momentum didn't fade. It intensified through disciplined output. Following the success of Hallelujah, Lucy Thomas built a catalog that reinforced her staying power. Year after year, she released albums: Encore, Timeless, Destiny, and Beyond, each displaying incremental growth. Music journalists covering her work emphasized that Thomas appeared uninterested in riding a single viral moment. Instead, she approached her career with long-term discipline, consistently producing recordings that highlighted improved technique and expanding range. Her releases balanced classical crossover, musical theater selections, and contemporary songs, which allowed her to appeal to multiple audiences without diluting her core style. Reviewers pointed out that her maturing voice gained richness in lower registers, while retaining the clarity that initially defined her sound. This evolution was particularly noticeable in pieces requiring sustained emotional packing or controlled dynamic transitions. Her online presence also played a role. Regularly uploaded studio-quality videos and collaborations reinforced her reputation as a serious young vocalist. For a developing artist, this consistent, multi-year catalog signaled professional focus rather than casual participation in digital culture. Industry analysts noted that while many teen performers fade as interests shift or attention wanes, Thomas demonstrated unusual stability. Her trajectory indicated careful management, consistent fan engagement, and a clear artistic direction, all contributing to her continued rise and expanding international audience. Coverage intensified when the young singer transitioned from online stages to one of the world's most demanding theatrical platforms. In 2024, Lucy Thomas reached a milestone that drew substantial media attention, her debut on London's West End in the musical Rosie. Entertainment reporters highlighted this moment as a key development in evaluating her long-term trajectory. Unlike studio recordings, live theater demands stamina, interpretive depth, and the ability to adapt to nightly performances, skills often challenging for artists transitioning from digital platforms. Yet early reviews praised her vocal reliability and stage presence, noting that she held her own among seasoned performers. The production featured a 30-piece orchestra, offering Thomas a substantial musical backdrop that allowed her voice to shine in a different context. Analysts pointed out that success on a prestigious stage signaled credibility beyond her online identity. The cast album associated with the show further showcased her ability to meet professional theater standards, an achievement that shifted her public image from YouTube sensation to multifaceted vocalist. This stage debut also sparked broader industry questions. Would she continue pursuing theater? Would her fanbase follow her into more traditional performance settings? Reporters noted that the transition reflected ambition and artistic evolution, a move signaling her desire to grow beyond the digital space that initially elevated her career. Media analysts began questioning how the young vocalist would handle the pressures that accompany early success. As Lucy Thomas matured, both as a person and an artist, public expectations grew accordingly. Reporters often highlighted the challenges of building a career while transitioning from adolescence into adulthood, especially in an industry known for rapid shifts in public attention. Observers noted that her rise carried inherent pressures: maintaining vocal health, choosing repertoire that supports long-term development, and balancing the expectations of a fanbase deeply attached to her early sound. Because she built much of her audience through covers, analysts debated how easily she could pivot toward original material or more experimental work. Entertainment journalists also discussed the complexities of evolving artistically while preserving the qualities that initially drew listeners in. Any young public figure faces scrutiny, but for vocalists, even minor stylistic changes can draw strong reactions. Despite these challenges, Thomas approached her career with measured professionalism, avoiding sensationalism and focusing on high-quality output. As she moved into larger projects, including theater and studio albums, reporters stressed that her ability to navigate these transitions would determine her long-term standing in the industry. The narrative around her then shifted from young viral star to developing artist with significant potential, a position that carries both opportunities and heightened expectations. Forecasts across entertainment media suggest that Lucy Thomas may be entering her most transformative career phase yet. As Lucy Thomas advances into the next stage of her career, industry observers are increasingly optimistic about her trajectory. Her consistent digital presence, disciplined recording history, and successful West End debut collectively suggest a foundation strong enough to support substantial future growth. Analysts predict that upcoming years may bring more original material, expanded theater roles, or international performances, moves that could solidify her identity beyond the realm of cover artistry. Reporters also point out that her ability to maintain a clean, family-friendly public image positions her favorably within a competitive entertainment landscape. While the path ahead inevitably includes challenges, developing unique artistic identity, expanding genre boundaries, and preserving vocal longevity, commentators generally agree that Thomas' record of discipline and adaptability sets her apart from many young performers. Her global fanbase continues to grow, driven by steady engagement and high-quality releases. As she continues exploring broader musical avenues, journalists speculate that her most significant breakthroughs may still be ahead. For now, she stands at a rare intersection: a young singer with both widespread digital visibility and emerging traditional stage credibility. If current trends persist, her rise may only be at its midpoint.